So hello everybody. Today I'm delighted to be speaking to Jesper and Barrie from Exclusive Networks. Two people on the call today because Jesper's joined the company very recently. And let me start with you, Jesper. Congratulations, first of all, on becoming the new CEO of Exclusive. Many of us know you well from your time at Arrow in Europe and more recently the US, but why don't I give you this chance to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience who doesn't know you?
Sure. Thanks, Steve, and appreciate the opportunity to be in this interview. So, yeah, I recently joined Exclusive Networks. Very excited about this, this journey and this opportunity. As most people know, I spent a lot of time with Arrow in various roles across the world, and frankly, I felt it was time to try something new. And I always admired Exclusive for their way of being externally focused, being aggressive, and frankly, the focus around cybersecurity and cloud, which are two segments that are driving a lot of growth for the entire channel ecosystem. So when this opportunity came around, I thought about it. I spoke to my family, and frankly, it didn't take a long time to decide on jumping on the train.
And you mentioned the family. I think you're currently in the US, but moving back to Europe for this job. Is that right?
That is correct. I'm currently in Denver, the headquarters of Arrow. So that's where I've been the last 3 years. And we're excited and looking forward to go back to Europe, more specifically to Paris, where Exclusive is headquartered. We will be going back, if things we'll go back end of this month, October.
And you're Danish with perfect French, correct?
No, I'm Danish, half Swedish. Speak a little bit of French, but probably need to improve that a little bit.
Okay. And the final question as part of the introduction, I'm sure you know this, it's a classic business challenge to take over from a very successful entrepreneur founder. How are you going about that challenge? What do you need to change? How much do you need to change? Does the culture of the company need to change? How are you going to approach this?
Yeah, so I think, it's a great question, and I get this. I've been working, when I took over the Americas for Arrow, the former leader was my boss, so he's not necessarily the founder, but similar type challenge. Same when I worked in Europe with Laurent Sedun, who founded Logix. I was president of Arrow. Olivier and I see eye to eye on many things. I founded a company back in the days and grew that. So I understand the entrepreneurial culture that is a very significant part of Exclusive Networks' overall culture. I'm not Olivier. I don't think the board wants me to be Olivier, but we see eye to eye in a lot of things. And we're working alongside each other for a couple of months just to ensure a smooth handover. There's a lot of projects in flight that we got to make sure we don't drop the balls on. And then, yes, there will be changes. Will it be massive changes? No, I don't think so. Actually, the business doing very well, particularly in this current economic environment. And so it's more about tweaks than changes, and doing more of what we are very good at and maybe tweaking areas where we think we can do better. So.
Okay, where can you do better?
Well, I'm only 2 weeks in, so I would love to pull out a big strategy plan, but I don't have that right now. But I think, I think we can accelerate in important areas like services, like cloud. But it's more about acceleration. I think most distributors are sort of at the same level. But I believe we've put the things in motion that needs to move to get to the next level.
Barrie, Exclusive is a little bit unusual as a distributor. Many of the other distributors, they grew on the back of one of the big tech vendors, Dell, HP, Lenovo, IBM, Cisco, etc. So tell us a little bit about the vision originally of Exclusive focusing on cybersecurity. Tell us about the background and how you came up with this obviously successful strategy.
Yeah, as I said, back in the day, when the previous company to Exclusive was Vidition, which Exclusive acquired, of course. We had a very focused business model of targeting cybersecurity was an obvious sweet spot that we saw the potential growth of, but targeting the new and innovative vendors in this space and given them a proposition to boost them primarily in the UK and the Netherlands at that time, with a valued service first philosophy, acting as a proxy for them to accelerate their go-to-market and their scale out. And as you know, together with Neil Ledger and Ian Morris, the founders of Vidition, as was then, we were kept saying, you know, in the pub, wouldn't it be great if we could do this on a bigger scale, right across EMEA at the time. And it was at that time at vendor events and partner events that we began speaking to Olivier and saying, you know, you're doing it in France and Spain, some Southern Europe. They just, I think, started maybe in the Nordics. Wouldn't it be good if we could do this on a bigger scale and offer vendors this real service first approach to help them accelerate and boost their business at this sort of one contact, many connections approach? And, you know, it soon transpired that it was like-minded people with similar DNA. And, you know, it went from there, really. We created, Exclusive came and acquired the majority stake in Vidition, and it soon became a really strong proposition to the marketplace, but focused, as I said, primarily on cybersecurity and new and innovative vendors coming out of, as well as Silicon Valley, Germany and Israel at the time. But I think it was also the focus on value and keeping that specialist approach. So many predecessors had when they went scale and volume, they lost the value. Whereas Exclusive Network, it wasn't a technology play, the name. It was about a network of people and about a network of like-minded companies globally that had a similar DNA and a similar approach, these sort of national specialists. So that was really to build the exclusive network of like-minded companies to offer this service and create this ecosystem. And I think if there was an analogy that I could think of, it would be like in distribution, we specialize in chilled distribution. You know, if you look at the trucks and the lorries going up and down the freeways and motorways around the world, we decided that chilled distribution was the way forward because people could trust us with their most precious cargo. And that's really what we did, you know, is actually focused on that specialist part of the technology space, we were not going for the normal big vendors, as you mentioned. We are, you know, not ashamed to say we're ABC, if you know what that means.
I'm not sure I do, no.
It was anything bar Cisco type of approach.
Okay, sorry,
and to really keep, you know, with the niche vendors. And we were very lucky, you know, to form partnerships, as you say, with two of the most influential cybersecurity companies to have emerged over the last 10 years or so. And that's really what we've done. We've also been at the forefront of like some innovations, you know, associated to security. So if we're if you could trust us with your precious cargo in distribution, focus there, then we need warehousing, we need all the applications and services that go across that. Hence, we got into hyperconvergence. We got into the new sort of next generation backup and disaster recovery. And so it really has been a natural move for us to get, you know, to focus on what we called trusted digital infrastructure. And with the main core being around cyber and, you know, transformational cloud technologies.
Thank you. And Jesper, I'm sure you're going to get this question a lot. All the broadliners, the big distributors, say they do cybersecurity. And indeed, they're doing okay and it's growing. But what's different about the way you do cybersecurity?
I think I think Barrie kind of alluded to it. I think, exclusive networks, it took me actually a little bit of time, but exclusive networks is not exclusive and networks, it's networks of people. And so the other way to talk about that is, as any distributor I know, we have the highest ratio between technical and salespeople. So, we have a narrow portfolio, but we have very, very deep skills around what we are selling. We offer services around everything we sell, from resident engineers to support to delivery, global deployment services, managed services. And so for me, it's, no one have cracked the nut on being broad and have a lot of expertise. And so for me, the biggest differentiation for exclusive is a very laser focused, narrow approach to certain technology segments, of which cybersecurity is one of them. And then surround that with very, very strong and very deep skills and expertise.
And the other interesting thing is you've decided to be in Asia, and I think almost global, which again is a bold move for what started as a small European distributor.
Yeah, I think, and Barrie can chime in as well, but for me, this is critical. The world is globalizing. Customers are global operations by nature. Everyone expects to be able to have the same experience procuring, products and solutions. And so if you are not global, it's difficult to ensure that sort of last mile customer experience. So, that's a major part of our strategy, to be able to have global coverage. And there are countries and regions we maybe are not in yet, but if we're not in there, we still work with partners that allow us to deliver the same kind of customer experience at the end of the day.
And I'm just putting two and two in my head, and I may get this completely wrong, but I guess in that respect, your North American experience must have been interesting to exclusive.
Yeah, I obviously, I lived and breathed, 3 years in the US, in North America, and LATAM as well. This is a market where we are as exclusive, but it's most certainly, it's the largest technology market in the world, and it's an area where there is a lot of room to grow. It's an interesting market for many reasons. A lot of the innovation is still coming out of the US, even though there are other, pockets like Israel and other places. And so being there, being strong there is important for any technology company, quite frankly.
Okay, and then a question I have to ask both of you, I think you can both answer this, is how's this year been like? What changes have you seen as a result of the pandemic? Obviously, we all know about the work at home, study at home, that we can't travel, virtual events, but how's it impacted your business?
Do you want to go first, Barrie?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible 6 months, 7 months for everybody, I think. But I think the big thing at the start of this was, the whole uncertainty bit. And, we were with a lot of concern about our people and our people's welfare, and, trying to keep them sane and focused and happy. And, so in terms of some of the challenges that we saw was like, how do we address this uncertainty? What will business do? There were sort of, incredible predictions of what the impact would be on the business, on global, everybody's business. And we've seen certain sectors, of course, hit worse than other sectors. So really, first and foremost was focuses on our people, making sure that they were happy, making sure that when we did redeploy them to this distributed home working hybrid environment, one of our philosophies was work is a thing you do, not a place you go. So that really helped us, it's pivoting to the new ways of working, and keeping regular cadence of communication and collaboration with our people. We really focused on that first and foremost: regular communication, fun events, informative events, company update events. We really thought, you know, to keep them comfortable, but also focused on doing the business. And like most companies, and I think because of our people-based network approach that we have, and we've not got a hierarchical structure, we got very much a network structure, a much flatter structure, you know, with empowered edge and more autonomy. It really stood us in good stead with our extended ecosystems into partners, into vendors, into consultants, and so on and so forth. That really played a strong part, as well as our specialism in cyber and you know, high performance infrastructure. So a lot of the thinking at that time was to rethink, to recover, to reflect, and then reimagination. They were our four sort of pillars, if you like, around. And it was this, you know, how are we going to react now? And of course, a lot of the new the ways of working needed a different and extended technology approach. So we've seen a lot of activity with, you know, home working, remote access, maintaining the integrity of people, maintaining the integrity of their applications, their services, their devices. So focused into helping partners with that. And that was a big concern as well, was the customer, our partner welfare. And we had this real strong mantra: serve first, sell second. So it was really, how can we help you guys? You know, can we, if you have lost engineers, or if you've lost certain skill sets, how can we act as a proxy for you and support your customers with, you know, so giving like access to our 24/7 for overflow, providing them with pre-sales support, engineering, consultancy, doing a lot more training, transforming our own business as well. You know, overnight we had to take all our training, a lot of which was classroom based, of course, and virtualize it all and put it on virtual learning platforms. But it was really that people first approach, and then see how the business, you know, to try and maintain the continuity and resilience of the business. They were the big challenge for us. And then, of course, from a pragmatic perspective, was channel liquidity and how we might address that. And I think the big lesson we've learned was to really what we've been doing all along. It wasn't jump into the new normal. It was jump into the next normal, as we say, because we've always disrupted, we've always reinvented ourselves, and you know, even availing our partners to new payment methods, you know, stage payments, deferred payments, stuff like that. You know, was a big boost for us. Kept the cadence of communication going with our customer base and our vendors, of course. And the results have been quite surprisingly good. We set up the partner support hub. We did everything from, you know, how to sell remotely, you know, how to use Zoom, you know, like, you know, what proportion of the screen should you occupy, to how do you go through you know, a pipeline building process? How do you keep your people happy? We did a lot on cyber awareness for everybody. We say, look, you know, a lot of your employees now are going to be working from home for the first time, but like, you know, we did infographics on, you know, how to avoid obvious scams, you know, like the COVID update latest for you, or coming from the company, but it was coming from obviously a bad actor and stuff like that. So we just really focused on people, which wasn't a big, you know, pivot for us, but what was which was the way we worked and operated. And that really stood us in good stead. And the business has proven to be very resilient. And I can let Jesper add to that. But we've done pretty well during this. You know, it's all credit to the people, our focus and our execution, I think. Would you say, Jesper?
Yeah, I think, I would maybe rephrase it. I would say, there's a lot of similarities between what distributors did and by the way, all companies in terms of moving to work from home. And we've all seen the benefits on the technology side, that technologies that are related to that. For me, what really stands out with Exclusive is we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can help our channel to, uphold their business and still conduct business. So to Barry's point, we virtualized all our trainings, curriculums. We put in place trainings around, how do you actually sell over Zoom or over Teams or whatever your preferred, choice is of video conferencing tool. And then the one thing I admire the most is it was business as usual. We never stood still. I mean, we announced 2 acquisitions 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We announced a new CEO. We conducted basically every meeting, every interview over Zoom. It has become the new normal. And, for me, I thank the team of Exclusive and all the employees for really thinking about how do we become an even stronger support partner to the channel and to our vendors, rather than just, hunkering down and not doing anything. So for me, that's a big difference from what I've seen from other companies, and it will be more of the same. And frankly, the results are proving it. So
let me just test a theory we have on you now. Your results are pretty good, and the security industry is having a decent 2020. But the growth in security spend does not match the growth in spend on productivity. We think security is probably still lagging behind in terms of expenditure, and a lot of companies who've rushed to drive work at home haven't put enough work into security. And in particular, there's a rise in ransomware attacks, very coordinated, well-targeted ransomware attacks. Just wondering whether you agree with that, whether you think the customers have rushed without thinking first.
Yeah, I think some companies probably have, right? In the beginning, it was all about just, hey, let's try and uphold productivity in our organization and make sure people can get to the company network and do what they do, whatever the applications are. That obviously certainly has huge security, implications, because suddenly you don't sit behind the company firewall. You are now dependent on basically, Jesper's or Steve's or Barry's security infrastructure at home, which, is a scary thought from many CIOs. So I think you're right. I think some companies have focused more on trying to keep the productivity rather than making sure that you keep the productivity in a safe and secure way. Secondly, I would say, the security landscape is always evolving. The threat landscape is evolving. The threats, the hackers, whoever, the ransomware people are getting more and more, they're getting stronger and stronger. They're getting better and better. They're using AI and things to try and get holes into the security infrastructure. And as a result of that, there is a lot of focus on security. There's a lot of innovation. And, frankly, it's difficult to be at the forefront of it. And then the final thing for me is the security market is still very fragmented. I mean, you think about the storage market, the server market, the CRM market, even the hyperscaler market, it's very consolidated. Mm-hmm. The security market consists of probably 300 at least players, and there's given birth to new security companies every day, basically. So it's very sophisticated, it's very fragmented. Companies are placing more and more importance and reliance on data. There's no company in the world today that doesn't matter what industry you're in that doesn't rely on data. And so data becomes your currency, and you want to protect that. And as a result, ransomware is growing, because once you get cut off from your data, you cannot operate.
Yeah, okay, let me ask another question now. Jesper, we've seen obviously Tech Data, Europe's biggest distributor, move under private equity ownership this year. You've come from Arrow, a publicly quoted company, into Exclusive that's owned by private equity. And we're seeing private equity make a lot of investments, both in channel players, as well as, in fact, some of the security and vendors and other vendors. So I'm just wondering what difference that you think that will make, being part of a private equity owned company as opposed to a publicly quoted company.
Well, first of all, there's less public scrutiny on what you do as a company, which gives you by the way, there's still scrutiny in a private equity owned company, but there's less public scrutiny, which basically means you can move faster, you can make decisions that you believe are right for the company. Maybe some of those are, you know, value creation on the shorter run. Maybe some of those are value creation on the longer run. And I think I know in public traded companies, you sometimes have a trade-off between short and long-term, you know, value creation, because you also want to satisfy the external shareholders. So, you know, I think frankly, private equity backed distributors will have an ability to move faster and transform quicker when needed. And I think this is important for the channel. I mean, this is important for the whole technology industry, that the pace of change is accelerating by the day, by the month. So being able to move quickly and adapt and invest where you need to invest is critical.
We've heard that you've just made an exciting announcement entering your business into the cloud marketplace business. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, we view cloud much more around how technology is consumed and services are consumed. And so we have basically gone down the route of building what I think and believe is the industry's first solution that allow you to buy any piece of hardware, software, and service on a consumption-based model. It's basically taking all of the different consumption methods that are out there. You know, some products are bought upfront, 3 years, 5 years. Some products you can buy on the drip. Some products you have to make minimum commitments to. What Exclusive Networks done is we pull together all of these things into one uniform solution bill that you as a customer and in turn your, you know, the channel customers can consume by the drip basically, and regardless of how the product is procured.
And this is your own system you developed yourselves, or are you using somebody else's?
It's not really such. It's not a marketplace per se. It's more of it's a consumption method. We obviously surround that with the right tools and platforms so that customers can build their own quotes. Vendors can build quotes. We can help them build quotes. But it's not your traditional cloud marketplace where you can click and buy, you know, what you need. It's not like that. It's more focused on the consumption and making sure that, you know, in a world that is becoming increasingly consumption based, that we can help our vendors, our partners to transact in that world, regardless of whether the vendor have programs that are ready for it, by the way, which is a key differentiator.
Yeah. Can I add something there, Steve? Yeah, it's certainly not a marketplace. It really is a sort of trying to help our partners, you know, vendors, and moreover our resellers to go through a digital transformation. I know it's a bit cliche, but it really is unique, we think, in a number of aspects. And Jesper alluded to them. It's non-proprietary. So, and it is able to be white labeled for our partners to deliver to those customers, so they can give that on-demand consumption experience to their customers. So, you know, we're extending it right through the supply chain. So we're flattening that, taking a lot of friction out, and giving our partners who have been, you know, may have been wondering how they're going to digitize and get involved with new consumption models. You know, we're actually white labeling and providing that platform for them, which is unique, I think. Also, the fact that it's non-proprietary. So as well as our products and services that can be consumed through the platform, they can wrap in their own services and maybe other vendor products and deliver a one bill, a one SKU to their customers. And the other thing that's been a roadblock really in heavy tech or in cyber is the pay up front and then try and you know, so vendors have been hesitant to go to a full subscription pay-as-you-go model. So with some of our services that will be announcing in the next weeks and months, we will become, we'll do that triage bit. We will consume upfront, but also pay on the allow our customers to subscribe on the drip. So it's quite a unique and quite a bold, radical move, I think. It's called XOD, Exclusive On Demand. And we've been trialing it with a few customers and vendors. And it really is a DevOps type project. You know, it's really out there in terms of innovation, the speed of developments, that it doesn't stand still. And, you know, we're very excited about it, and there's a lot more to come.
It's interesting. The consumption models are definitely the biggest theme of this conference. Everybody's talking about it. From the vendor community, they're all totally sold and convinced that's the future. Some of the channel partners we've interviewed are deeply skeptical that this is in the customer's interest. I don't know where you two sit on that point.
Yeah, I think Steve, that actually, you know, the other way to rephrase what exclusive on demand is it's giving a cloud-like consumption experience for the channel and the partners and end users, without necessarily putting all your eggs in the basket of the hyperscaler, right? I agree with you. I think there is a lot of there's data showing there's quite a lot of repatriation from the cloud back to on-prem. You know, I think as with everything, it's a balance. I think there are workloads that lends itself very well to move to the cloud, and you want to procure those in a consumption-based model. I think there are workloads that does not lend itself well, and you know, depends on what's strategic to your business and key and where you have your IP. The one thing I do know is wherever you put your data, and whether some of it is in the cloud and some of it is on-prem, it has massive impact on your security infrastructure and your security policies, because data is moving back and forth. And so, you know, with XOD, we have the opportunity to frankly give our partners the ability to offer their customers a cloud-like consumption experience, but they can still stay on-prem.
Yeah, we think it's important, Steve, to give our customers choice. So this sort of omnipresent a way of consuming. So whether it's on-prem, on cloud, on demand, or as a service, you know, we definitely are not saying everything's going to go that way, but we believe that we should have this omnipresence and the ability of our customers to consume or to sell in the most appropriate way for the customers ultimately will choose. But yeah, I agree. You know, there is myself and a few of the guys, we went around speaking to partners of all shapes and sizes, and I would say there is a lot of skepticism. But as history's proven, there's been a lot of skepticism with a lot of new ways of working, new ways of consuming. And if it makes them feel uneasy, we love it, you know, because again, it's a choice, and it's a different conversation for them to have with their customers. Right. And, you know, that's what we've done. We've disrupted, and we've done stuff that's been contrary to what has been done before. And this is just another disruption for us. And, but yeah, I think there is a debate in the market, and we'll enjoy that debate.
That's an excellent point, Barrie. And let me move to the final question now. Yeah, I think you said it quite nicely. Back in March, April, we were all really unsure what was going to happen. It felt a bit like the financial crisis of 2008, which was really tough for a few quarters for all of us. But actually, it's turned out much better than expected, and distribution has done very well this year, particularly in Europe, by the way. So we're asking everyone, what do you think about the next 12 months? Obviously, we had the US election, we have Brexit, we have trade wars between the US and China. Will we find a vaccine or not? How bad will the second wave be? You know, when you're thinking about planning your business, I guess I should ask, yes, but how positive or otherwise can you be? You have to put a stake in the ground at some point.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what I said before. So far we've seen the business have been doing well. We've been operating as usual. We've been hiring people. We haven't let go of anyone. We've been acquiring companies. We'll continue to acquire companies and acquire people. And frankly, I believe we're going to take the same position next year. If I look at 2021, and if I were and I am in the channel, whether I'm a partner or a distributor or whatever, I would say, one, there is a lot of pent up demand. Even though technology spending has been, sort of, good by compares, I would say there is a lot of pent up demand. There's a lot of big infrastructure projects that have been put on hold. Some companies have chosen to sweat their assets a little bit and just, delay maintenance or keep moving on to maintenance. I think there is, I always say the COVID crisis have not really created any new trends. It's just accelerated trends that were already happening. Companies were thinking about working from home. Some was doing it in one way or the other for a minor part of their people. Now everyone is doing it, so it's accelerated that. Companies were talking about, hey, we got to move to more consumption-based way of IT rather than pay upfront and spend a lot of cash and tie that up in assets. This accelerated that in cloud consumption. And so I think all the trends that we are seeing now accelerating are trends that's been there for several years. It's just accelerated. The other thing which makes me bullish about next year and the years to come is, doesn't matter what you read about COVID, what you read about sectors, from analysts, even from financial institutions, the one word that always comes in all the reports, doesn't matter what language and where it is digital transformation. And frankly, being in the channel, wherever you are in the channel, whether you're a vendor, a distributor, or a partner, that's probably not a bad place to be. I mean, there are other industries I would be more concerned about being in, airlines, cruise ships, theme parks, and those types of industries. But frankly, in the technology industry, with digital transformation being probably the number one way for a lot of companies out of the crisis we are in, I think it's a great place to be. So frankly, for 2021, we're looking at budgets as we speak, but I'm quite bullish.
Excellent, Jesper. I think you echoed some of the themes of my keynote there, which is great to see we're on track. So Jesper, Barrie, thank you very much. I wish you luck for the next 12 months. Good luck in the new job. And I hope we see each other face to face in Barcelona next year or in Paris, perhaps. Absolutely. For lunch.
Thank you, Steve. Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Cheers, Steve. Cheers, guys. Thank you.